Hello, my name is Swan. I work at EMBL-EBI as part of the training team. Recently, we redesigned our training website, and during this presentation, I'm going to tell you a bit about that redesign and how we considered the FAIR principles during the development. At EMBL-EBI, we deliver many different tools and resources for the life sciences community, but there are also many groups at the EBI working on research, engaging with industry across Europe, and playing a part in that coordination of bioinformatics efforts across Europe. But the EBI also has a focus on training scientists in bioinformatics. We had received a lot of feedback from our users that our training wasn't particularly easy to find, so we were planning a redevelopment, and then following the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, it became clearer that our training no longer fit into quite the same groupings as it previously had. Particularly as we took our face-to-face training virtual, this meant that online could no longer be used to only describe training such as webinars and self-paced online tutorials. So at that point, we stopped to think about how we could explain what we were offering, and we felt it could be best described in these three ways. So on the left, we have live training. This incorporates the in-person training we hopefully will return to soon, both on our campus and at other institutes around the world, as well as virtual training using Zoom and our series of webinars. We then have this second section, on demand. This is everything that is available anytime, so our online tutorials and webinar recordings, as well as materials from our live courses. Finally, we have this third section, which is more informational, a section providing support to other trainers, such as information about how to reuse our materials. So that's the kind of thing we wanted to present via our website. And the main aims of our website are summarised here. Firstly, we want people to both use our training, our materials, the EBI's resources, and we want people to use them, but we want them to make the most of that training. So those the bioinformatics resources. But that's not all. We also want our users to be able to feed back to us, to tell us what they used, how they used it, what else they need, they want. We want our trainers to receive recognition for their work, their efforts. And lastly, we want other trainers outside of EMBL to gain from our work, our trainers' efforts. So following the FAIR principles really helped us plan and develop a website to provide these aims. So firstly, I want to talk about what those principles are and how they relate to training materials. So to start with, we have findable, and for that we need to ensure the content is indexed in some way. It's available to others and it's uniquely identifiable. For accessible, we need to provide clear access rules that people can understand, as well as metadata for those materials. I, for interoperable, we need to make sure these formats of materials are usable by others, so they're making something findable to everyone if most people can't actually use them. And finally, we have reusable. So well described with a clear license, and indeed that license made obvious, so users don't need to hunt around to find out what they can do with the materials. These principles are summarised in this image taken from the 10 Simple Rules for Making Training Materials Fair paper, and it really highlights how those FAIR principles can be applied to training materials. We have share at the centre here, which all the other points encircle, and then it goes on to show the other requirements too. But I'm going to now show how we implemented some of these rules in our site. So starting with that central concept of share, this is the homepage of the new site where we are sharing the training, and as mentioned previously, that includes our live and on-demand training as well as that support for trainers. So that's how we describe our training, and that's useful for people who know what kind of training or materials they're looking for. But if someone comes to the site with a topic in mind, we have this search box available at the top of the homepage. And as you start typing into this box, you'll see suggestions to help with the search term, as all courses and materials have metadata describing them, which also populates this search autocomplete. This includes EDAM ontology terms, EBI resources, and other keywords that we've identified. So once people have found what they're looking for, they may want to share further, and we've added in the social media links on each page to help with that. As I introduced the FAIR principles before, I mentioned about unique IDs. We create and show a DOI for our on-demand contents. That's the online tutorials, recorded webinars, and the new collection of course materials. And if we're making all these online tutorials and collections of materials available online, we need to make sure it's clear how they can be reused as well as used. So we have the CC BY icon on every page with a link through where it describes more information about how it's suitable to reuse. And indeed, we've recently moved from CC BY SA to CC BY, so we wanted to make sure that was up to date and understandable by everyone. So we provide these materials, this training, but we're also really keen to hear from our users with various means of doing so, including a form in all our online tutorials and various social media to hopefully give people a way of contacting or feeding back to us that works for them. Lastly, of the examples I'm going to show, we have keeping up to date. So this can be difficult and time consuming, but it's so helpful for users to make sure that the materials are suitable for them, that they're still valid. And so on our online tutorials, we have a last review date with a yearly review cycle, and all our past materials have the date on which they happened if they were a live course. For my final slide here, I wanted to highlight the new website is live. It has been for quite a few months now, but it is still very much a work in progress. We're continually receiving and acting on feedback from our users. We're improving the use of bias schemas. We're including testing the course and course instance types for bias schemas. And at the moment, we're working on personalization of the website. So this will provide users with a registration and login facility, including allowing them to bookmark and plan training of interest and track what they've already completed. So I hope this presentation has given you an idea about both our training offering and how FAIR principles can be implemented. This is by no means the only way to do things, or even every way that we think our training materials are fair, but hopefully it has given you a good overview. And if you're interested in keeping up to date with our training we have on offer at EBI is a good way to do so. Thank you for listening.